All right, welcome to another episode of Stand Tall. Today is August 27th. So let's dive right in and pick up where we left off. The 9 situations, verse 15. Those who were called skillful leaders of old knew how to drive a wedge between the enemy's front and rear, to prevent cooperation between his large and small divisions, to hinder the good troops from rescuing the bad, the officers from rallying their men. Verse 16, when the enemy's men were united, they managed to keep them in disorder. 17, when it was to their advantage, they made a forward move. When otherwise, they stopped still. Let's jump over to the alternate translation and see what insights we can gain. Master Sun says, those who are called the good militarists of old could make opponents lose contact between front and back lines, lose reliability between large and small groups, lose mutual concern for the welfare of the different social classes among them, lose mutual accommodation between the rulers and the ruled, lose enlistments among the soldiers, lose coherence within the armies. They went into action when it was advantageous, they stopped when it was not. Li Quan says, they set up changes to confuse their opponents, striking them here and there, terrorizing and disarraying them in such a way they had no time to plan. Let's go over. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I mean, that's you know, daze and confuse and come in and just cause havoc, controlled havoc, and divide and conquer. August 27th, laugh or cry. Heraclitus would shed tears whenever he went out in public. Democritus laughed. One saw the whole as a parade of miseries, the other of follies. And so, should we take a lighter view of things and bear them with an easy spirit? For it is more human to laugh than to lament it, to laugh at life than to lament it. Seneca, on the Tranquility of Mind, 15.2. And this is the Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. So they put all of these reflections together. It's a great book, and I think that this reflection from Seneca alone does pertain in part to what we were just discussing over here with the art of war and terrorizing and doing all of the things that Master Sun is talking about here, and then how Li Quan follows it up. So split and act, and then they stop acting when it's not advantageous, to keep the opponent in disarray. And so how do we view this, knowing that we know that there are forces out there in the world that are actively doing things like this on a global scale, localized scales and things like that. Do we give up, or do we make it disadvantageous for them to continue? And I think more and more people are starting to realize that it's more important to make it disadvantageous for them to continue than it is to let them continue to believe that it's advantageous for them to continue, because we're so helpless and need them to do all of that. So laugh or cry, Heraclitus and Democritus, which one are you? Is this observation the original of the famous expression about frustrating news? I don't know whether to laugh or cry. The Stoics saw little purpose in getting angry or sad about things that are indifferent to our feelings, especially when those feelings end up making us feel worse. It's also another bit of evidence that the Stoics were hardly some depressing, bitter group of old men. Even when things were really bad, when the world made them want to weep in despair or rage, they chose to laugh about it. Like Democritus, we can make that same choice. There's more humor than hate to be found in just about every situation, and at least humor is productive, making things less heavy, not more so. The first thing that I think of is from Never Split the Difference, the book by Chris Voss, FBI negotiator for a long time. And he says, and it may not be from the book, it may be from a speech that he gave, but he says something akin to, the human mind is like 30 or 34% more intelligent in a positive frame of mind. So essentially, the reflection that I'm gaining from the Daily Stoic is that when you approach life either happy or sad, it's more or less your choice to view what frame. And are you going to laugh, or are you gonna cry about what's going on? Are you going to laugh and find humor and find a way through it like a true Stoic, and accept that the way forward is the way forward, and we've got to do what we've got to do here and now? Or are we just going to lay down and cry? So as far as relating that to the art of war, I think it's when it comes down to, I actually like the original translation better. When the enemy's men were united, they managed to keep them in disorder. So when they come together, the attack strategy is to keep them in disorder. Drive a wedge, prevent cooperation, large and small divisions, hinder the good troops from rescuing the bad, and the officers from rallying their men. When it is to their advantage, they made a forward move. When otherwise, they stopped still. Think about times when authoritarian governments have made a forward move when it was to their advantage. What situations were those in the past? We don't have to go through a list, but we know a lot of them. What would make something stop still? I think we have also more examples of that through history. So we'll see. But I think that's a good takeaway and a good reminder to keep standing tall. So we'll see you guys on the next one.